Hi everyone, and welcome back to Amplify, a video podcast about usual, unusual people. Last year, I released a song called Bike Away, and the song was produced by Benvel Music. It's a music producer based in Israel, and he then was featured on Amplify, and he amplified someone else because he played the game. So let's take a look at previously on Amplify.
I really want to amplify, as we were talking before about the song that I was making for the Backstreet Boys, and I made it not by myself, but with a guy whose name is Hunter Reece. He's a singer songwriter from United States, and he was a big part of making my dream come true. So, and he's a cool guy, and I really want to amplify him.
Hunter Reece was already featured as a soundtrack a couple of episodes ago, and I'm so loving this idea now of jumping from Israel all the way to the US. So, without further ado, our next guest, Hunter Reece. My name is Eric. I'm calling you from Belgium, and I'm a singer-songwriter also. In 2021, I decided to do this little show, which is called Amplify. It's just an interview with different talented people. And the way it works that I start with someone, then end up somewhere else because the person has to nominate somebody else to be amplified. You've been amplified by Benjamin from Benvel Music. And I think I will start with that. Like, how do you know Ben?
Just through like the Facebook group, Make Pop Music. We just found we had similar interests and worked together on a project. It may have been about 3 years ago now, but we worked on a project together doing like pitch songs to try and get them sold.
So when you say about similar likes, I guess it's something to do with the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and more like the music like Max Martin made.
Yeah, that whole like Max Martin and pop sound that a lot of that comes from like that Sweden style, but it's also just been popular here for like 20 years, But yeah, so like really it just comes down to like for me and I think him as well, like harmonies, really catchy, simplistic over kind of crazy complex things. And so we were just like seeing each other on different posts in that group and talked virtually for a while, and then worked on that song that we pitched for the Backstreet Boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And where are you based now?
Right now I'm in Austin in Texas.
Okay. I thought you were in Montreal because I heard your song Montreal, so
No, I was in LA.
Thought, hey, maybe he's there.
I was in LA for 6 years. I love it there. And then, but that's funny because that song Montreal, I wrote it with Yost Music, who is in Germany. So it was a guy, one in California, one in Germany, and we wrote a song called Montreal.
Yeah, but have you ever been to Montreal?
Technically, yes. I've been to the airport on a layover.
Where are you from originally? You're from Austin, Texas? You were born there? You grew up there? Or how does it?
No, I only been here almost less than 2 years. I've been in Austin. When I was young, I grew up in New Jersey, over on that East Coast. But then when I was like teenage or like right before, I moved over to Denver, Colorado. And so kind of two spots, but Denver feels to me like home. That's like my hometown.
You are a musician, you're a songwriter, you're also a music producer?
For myself, I produce my own music, but I don't think I would take on any production jobs for other artists.
Okay.
I like to work with other producers, so I do production, but definitely more of a songwriter, artist, guitar player or singer. So.
How did you start with music? What was your first memory about music?
Man, I was always like for my family when I was really young, like just karaoke things, you know, like trying to perform and just get everybody's attention somehow. Um, Me and my brother used to do like little backyard shows for our family, and like, you know, that whole like boy band style, because it was around that time too. Um,
Mhm.
but that was just like an interest. And then around middle school, like 12 years old, I went over to a friend's house, and he had been playing guitar for a while. And
Mhm.
I watched him and I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, you are like crazy talented. And uh, kind of just saw it in like, you know, him just rocking out. He was really cool, a good friend. And I was just like, I need to spend some time learning this, because that was amazing. And that's like when it, you know, that was like when I like really dug in and like studied guitar, learned, you know, all the chords, all this, some songwriting, you know, not too long after that, because I was just always kind of curious of like not always wanting to just play chords to something else, but I was always trying to create and improvise things.
And was the song called Watergate, was it the first one you released on Spotify, or you did some maybe other platforms before?
That was the first one on Spotify. There was a lot of music I was releasing before that, starting in like 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Going through a lot of different styles. I've always not been confused, but I've always like never had a home of genre. Like
Okay.
I like a lot of things, and I've worked with a lot of different people. So funny enough, uh, it's under a different name, but I have, God, I think it was like 2 or 3 hip hop mixtapes
Mm-hmm.
before Watergate. Like before that came out, I was putting out some songs on like SoundCloud, Audio Mac, for a while. I like, you know, Bandcamp, all those ones that kind of came and went in that era. But the fun thing about Watergate was when I moved to LA, my mentor, one of my best friends, Drew DeCaro, that was like the first song that we collaborated on together. So that one always has like a kind of a special spot for me. And I think it marks the first time the music I was putting out would be like competitive.
Okay.
You know, like in the marketplace, like it sounded more professional. Everything before that was still very amateur.
Okay. And the last track you released, it's called Florid, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Florid, what's the inspiration of Florid?
That was really fun. One of my friends, Kyle, who's featured on that song, he does some shared vocals with me. So we were both in the Ryan Tedder monthly class, and we used to work together from back home in Colorado. We did some songs and played some shows together years before. And so when we both saw each other in that class, we were like, oh, dude, that's awesome. Like, I didn't know you were doing this. And kind of reconnected and caught up a lot. And then the last project for the Ryan Tedder class, because you did 3 songs, the last one was actually a collab. They were said, you know, find someone and collaborate. And it was very natural for me and Kyle to get together and work with that one. So that was a fun one. And yeah, Florid, you know, the middle of the song is, it's funny, it's not the bridge, but it's or not the chorus, it's more like the bridge, but Florid on my broken heart. So we had some fun with that one. Yeah.
But now, as you told me about the class you followed, I understand that you kind of studied music more seriously than just, you know, play guitar at home. So where was it that the music that you studied?
Well, this was just online. I guess never had like formal education for it, but when I moved to Los Angeles years ago, I just jumped in with the team, and I was just the new guy on the block and didn't know anything. And so I really got in with a cool group of people. We kind of referred to ourselves in that studio and that group of people as the launch pad. And it was just awesome because I was just there soaking up information from people who knew better and were more talented than me. So I was just like there helping out and just taking in everything I could. and that was definitely like my education, if you will, into like serious musicianship and recording, engineering, producing. But yeah, and so then there was also just I wanted to do that Ryan Tedder monthly class because I'm such a fan of his work, and just wanted to get a little deeper insight into his workflow. I think they just changed their name monthly. I think they just changed to studio. But I think if you look up monthly classes, because like you can still do them whenever online, I think it'll start up.
So you would definitely recommend someone, a songwriter, to follow the class?
I think so. Yeah, it was a really in depth, a lot of video to watch and follow along with, and it's cool because we romanticize so much of what we look up to, and like think what a professional songwriter or one of my favorite artists or what they do is so different, and you're like, I could just never do that. They're so good, but like they're just people. They're just in the position. They just maybe been doing it longer or have a different outlook or perspective. But it's cool when you get to go behind the scenes and you see how he works, someone that you respect professionally, and it's just very not different from any other sessions that I've been in or work. It's just people having fun, being creative, but it's cool to demystify that and remind yourself that it just takes time and like hard work. There's not really any secret sauce or ingredients. It's just waking up and doing it, writing a song, and the more you do
Every
it, the better
day.
you get.
That's how you call yourself a songwriter, because you actually write songs almost every day. So what's
Yeah.
next for you? What are you planning next? Because you have a release somewhere in June, which you announced today.
Yeah, I have been just trying to like get my releases together. I'm actually at the point now where I have too many songs like ready to go and release, and I was getting overwhelmed because I was like just having a lot of fun creating them, and I was like, I gotta release these, and now I'm like, all right, step back, check what's this one like, what's this like, which ones are kind of cool and similar together, like do I have video ideas, do I have like art for it, that whole process of preparing the release. So today I was getting just like frustrated with feeling that overwhelming, like, oh gosh, I have to put out the songs now, and like it's so much fun to share it, but that 4 weeks between when it comes out and when you're preparing it, I find to be very stressful, because it's you just want it to do well, like you want to share what you made and you're proud of it, and sometimes it's easy to get kind of lost in that whirlwind, and you worry about, is it going to show to people, are they going to hear it the way I hear it, I love it, are people going to love it, or gosh, I forgot to do this one thing, is now nobody's going to hear it, like all that social media and video stuff. So yeah, put it out today, the announcement, but I'm kind of having some fun, and I didn't say which one because I'm kind of letting everybody put their guesses in as to what's coming.
You already had the chance to tease your audience with a couple of shorter videos, right?
Yeah, on Instagram and TikTok, I was sharing some clips and previews, and kind of just seeing which songs people were responding to before I set any to go and release, which is kind of cool. I think that's definitely one of the good things that the like social media, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff is good at. Just getting feedback or responses. It's kind of like, if years ago you would play an open mic and you play like new songs and you would just kind of try and read the room. You're like, were they interested? Did they like that chord? Like, do they not care and they're just talking? And so it's a little nicer, maybe a little bit easier now, instead of having to play the song to the live audience and try and figure out what they think, and then now you just get to be like, what do you think? And you get an answer back.
What's your favorite part of releasing a song? I mean, from the writing till the releasing, what's your favorite part?
My favorite part would have to be the writing. I just love being in the studio and having that flow state where you're just like inspired and you're almost not even thinking so much. You're just kind of doing and just putting ideas out. That's definitely for me is like what I love the most. And especially when it's a collaboration, because I work so much by myself that when I'm getting to share that experience with someone else or we're bouncing ideas off each other, I just live for that. I have such a good time and try and do that as much as possible.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, and then kind of skip that whole middle part after it's written. And then I love the point when I get to say it's out and get to share it. That whole middle part for me is like the work.
Yeah, absolutely understandable. I think a lot of people can relate to it. So
Yeah.
share a bit about your writing process. So what do you do? Do you like you first write the chords with your guitar, or you maybe write something in the DAW or so? How does it work for you?
Sure. Couple different ways. Normally I'll start with guitar, chords, melodies or something. But then after I do that for a while, they all start to sound the same. So sometimes it's electric in Ableton and kind of build the vibe first. Sometimes it's just the acoustic and get things going there. That's usually when it works out the best, I think. To be fair, I think it works the best when I start on acoustic. And then rather than the other way around, but I still do it both ways. And then lots of the times, I'll just search like instrumentals or something on YouTube. I used to do that a lot before I was able to produce for myself. I don't know. I think it gets like a bad rep. Like sometimes people are weird about it, but it's just kind of nice. Sometimes I'll just hear something different, someone else's style of a chord that they played on a beat online. And then like I can continue from there, or sometimes just hearing like that 5 seconds and I'm like, oh, I got ideas. And then I'll pick up my guitar after and take it in my way. Or the best stuff comes when I'm writing first. When I produce too much first, I tend to lock myself in like the box, and I think the lyrics don't almost don't match as well, because I think it works better when I can build around the lyrics and then build around the melodies instead of putting the melodies into where they're supposed to go on the production. I think that makes sense, right?
Yeah, everybody has different process. So I always like to ask, like, what do you like? What do you do? Because you can also learn from somebody, and definitely somebody who's listening or watching can pick up something from your methods and implement it in their work. So it's very useful.
I was just going to say different instruments is a good thing too, because lots of the times when you feel maybe a little stuck as a writer, one of the things that always helps me is like, because you sometimes when you just hear a G chord or any chord, but you're on a guitar, like I've noticed I have a tendency to like go sing the 1 to the 3 of the scale, and then that's just like my natural thing. So, but if I play that same G chord on a piano, it's definitely a different thing. So sometimes just changing the instrument gets you a little bit outside of your natural habitat, because I feel like sometimes it's funny too, and you don't realize it till like a week later. Sometimes I write the same song like 3 times, and I'll have like 3 different things that I think are different, and then I put them together a couple days and I'm like, I need to make these just one thing, because these are all very similar.
So how do you spend your days?
For me, I think I'm most creative in the morning. I actually really like mornings. And I used to do the super late night or stay up and do stuff, but I think the schedule I have now works really well for me. And usually I'm up 7 is generally when I get up in the morning, and then make some coffee on my French press. It's just part of the routine. And I get a lot of songwriting done from like 7 to 9. Usually I'll go to the kitchen with my computer and I'll try and not be in the studio for it. Whether that's like with my acoustic, or maybe an instrumental that I made the day before, or maybe an instrumental that somebody sent me and they're like, hey, what do you, it doesn't, for me, when I'm outside of the studio, that's usually that kind of stuff. And that's for me is a good time. 7 to 9-ish, 2 hours of the morning, drinking my coffee. And I can usually hash out like most of a song, or at least like a verse chorus down there. I'll try and do that every day, is just pull up something different or play something different and get a verse chorus every morning. And because I just love it. That makes me happy, one, and like feel good. Like the rest of the day, I'm like, I'm all right. I'm doing it. Like, I'm great. I wrote a song this morning. I feel amazing. And then sometimes from there, usually I'll take a break after that. Take the dog out, work out, whichever what it is. Maybe go for a run, and then I'll take those ideas into the studio, like where I am now. And it's just, by studio, I just mean like where my interface monitors are. I kind of just like to start the day outside. My kitchen has the biggest windows, so I like the natural sunlight coming in. I don't know. I'm not good at leaving things for too long, so I try and get a lot of the ideas out that day that I wrote it. Or if I leave it too empty, too open, then I'll tend to start something new before finishing it. So I like to get the structure done before the end of that day.
So I have a very special question for you from an organization which is called the Noisy Brain. They basically work as a mediator between musicians and people with mental health issues. How do you nurture your mental health?
I think for me, it probably is, I like to have those, I guess, like I said, get the songs to a point in structure, because I definitely get, I guess, they're just a little anxious or whatever when I have too many open projects and I'm trying to think about them. So I always try and not have a ton of open things. But mainly, I think the important thing, and I'm always trying to get better at it, is to just have some balance and some space. Lots of the times I've realized when I was like sitting and writing a song for hours and trying to like, beat it, trying to like win. You're like, I just need that line. Like, what is that line? And you try so hard while you're sitting here and it never works. And then as soon as I had to leave, like to go to work or something while I'm driving, or I've, ride a motorcycle. So that's something that's like very therapeutic too, because it's just like calming. And there's no, you just kind of, you have to just focus on the riding the motorcycle, because it's dangerous. It's a thing. You have to just be there in the moment. But so many times, it's like not once or twice, all the time, when I leave and I'm riding, that line or like all those ideas are right in my head, and I'm like, all right, that's what I needed to do. Like, just give it some space, relax. So ways that I've been trying to be better at that myself. I won't start any music projects or like after like 9 p.m. Like if I get an idea or something like that, I'll try and just record a voice note, but not like, oh, I'm gonna go write this, I'm gonna go work on this now. And if I'm working, I generally
let me just cut you for a minute. This is a very good thing that you do, because I feel myself, it's very good that you know yourself in that respect. And I feel I also realized that just like I think 3 years ago maybe, before I could start something at 10 p.m. and I was frustrated that I was not able to finish stuff, and now I never do that anymore. I know what means sleep for me, and I know that I need to keep my head clean for that.
Yeah, exactly. And no, that's exactly it. So I won't start after 9. If I'm working on something, I'll cut off at 10 p.m. and I'll just like save it, just take the night, relax. And generally that means like at that time of the night, or hanging out with my fiance, Marissa. That's always like a really good way for me just to finish the day, whether it's watch a movie or, go hang out or just talk. And so that's a good, definitely a relaxing thing. And because I like to get up early. So if I stay up too late, then I don't sleep enough And like you said, I've noticed definitely on mornings when I don't sleep enough, it's hard for me to get gears going in the morning and do what I want to do and do what feels good. So when I cut off and I have a good amount of sleep, I don't sleep that much. Like I don't need a ton of sleep, but I have to have that time set. And then when I give myself that period at night where I could just rest and sleep, generally the morning starts up and it's like a muscle, like it's trained. So my brain knows like 7 o'clock, make the coffee, and then ideas start coming in a little bit because that's what I do every day. And they're not all great. That's okay too. Like we all write bad songs, so you have to just do it often. Yeah, knowing the space, taking a balance, I think is where I would sum that all down to. Just trying to figure out what schedule works best for you as a creative, and trying to fit you. And it's tough if you're super busy with work or family. There's definitely going to have to be a sacrifice here or there. But for me, and it sounds like yourself, just understanding what you need as a creative and trying to fit your schedule to that.
Is music your only occupation?
No, still trying. That's the goal. But no, I'm a bartender right now. So restaurant bartending, which is it's cool. It's a good day job. You know, it's fun. It's social. It's just different than like a 9 to 5 thing. So.
And what about skills? Are you planning to learn something? Do you want to learn something new?
Sure. Well, let's see. I guess first and foremost, I think I'm sure, you know, as a writer and a creative, we all have those nights, but like when I will sit down and I just feel like dried up, inspired wise, like nothing is working. What I'll usually do is try and learn a new technique on my guitar or something where it's like that way I'm still being musical and that's what I want to do. But if it's just nothing, I can't come up with anything that is sounding good or that I enjoy, I won't try and create and I'll just try and learn. That's kind of how I break those blocks for me or get past those nights where you just feel off creatively, just learning. So for me, that's usually guitar. I keep pointing over here. My guitar's over there. But yeah, it's usually like a new guitar technique. And then as someone who does mostly vocal work, because for myself,
when I listen to your song, very good vocal work.
Thank you. Yeah, let's see, lots of practice. I've had a couple different, I used to have like a vocal coach years ago that got me started down like how to correctly train, you know, because I think lots of us just do, and that's fine too, if like you just sing or sing along to something on the radio. You could be enforcing bad habits. Myself, I was doing a lot of that. It's just like doing what I thought I was doing, and then when I sat down with a coach, a teacher, for a couple months, we kind of went through, and it was just interesting. He had a different output and was like, oh yeah, like when you do this, when you hit this, you're getting weird. Like when you're holding the note, you kind of get that shake. And so we were able to just find some things that I was doing without realizing it. And then I don't have an in-person coach right now. I recommend that if anyone has that opportunity. It helps a lot for growth. But I have signed up. There's a new, I think it's called like Singing Success is one of the ones I've done online, and just trying to find different ways to stay warmed up, different scales, how to grow your range, tonalities, things like that. Lots of online classes because I just like those. Yeah, so anyways, also vocal. I don't really mix most of my tracks unless it's like an acoustic song. But vocal production is something that I always go into YouTube University, you know, just looking up, watching hours of tutorials of vocal production to see, all right, that's what they do. That works for them. This is different, but it works for them. And trying to find those things. Because I think what I've realized too, there's so many ways to do it. And so like lots of times you'll watch this and you'll be like, Justin Bieber does this. It has to be right. but it might not be right for you. Like everyone has a different voice. The compressors treat our voices differently, EQing different ranges. So kind of understanding the tools is something that I spend time on. Like instead of just FabFilter, Pro Q, CLA 2A, and something else, and that should be radio ready because, like, all right, EQs in general, how does that work? Like compressor, what is it really doing as a compressor? Not so much in this one instance. So that's been kind of cool. So I'm just always trying to be better at vocal mixing and vocal engineering and vocal producing, which is funny too, because if I produce a track and I try and mix the drums or mix like a keyboard or the guitars, in a way, it's just a little bit different for me because that's not something I've spent enough time on. So I don't feel comfortable like releasing too much music that's just me mixing it because I know someone out there does it better. And that's okay. Teamwork is essential.
Is there any professional who does vocal mixing that you are often looking up to? Or you really just go on YouTube and check all the possible videos that come up and then down the rabbit hole?
That is mostly, that's mostly probably it. I know Josh Goodwin does a lot of really good stuff, and I've watched some of his techniques. He's did a lot of the Bieber records. There's a guy online that kind of created a group, Make Pop Music, Austin Hull. He's always posting tutorials and just behind the scenes on his projects. So a huge shout out to Make Pop Music and Austin's team because those are very in-depth, very good, knowledgeable tutorials for anybody. And if I was to shout out another one I watch a lot, Devon Terrell is an R&B singer who also does tutorials for like, here's how I treat my voice, here's how I treat songs. And yeah, it's just another one that goes really in depth with the knowledge and shows you also why he's doing it, not just here.
Okay. So I've noticed that you are often collaborating with other people. How can someone interest you in order to collaborate with you?
It's a good question. I've really thought about it. Lots of the times, the producers I collaborate with, I think in the past have reached out to me via Instagram or, some connection. But I'm trying to think of the people I work with, and that tends to be the way. I also really enjoy working with other songwriters, and that doesn't happen as often. And I'm trying to do more of that because I do think there's a lot of really cool power in that. And writing the melodies with someone else and other words with someone else, I do really love the product that creates. Because like I was saying earlier, I have a lot of tendencies that come up a lot. So like, oh, this cadence, these notes together, like I do that a lot. So it's cool when you do work with other people and they have new ways of doing that. But I would just say always, feel confident to reach out to anybody. Nowadays, everybody's kind of reachable. And I know it still could be a little hesitant, but or a little intimidating. But, myself, yourself, every creative out there, you have value. So don't be too shy about reaching out and trying to work with people because you have something to bring to the table too. So, because it's tough. And I said it for the longest time because like my homie Drew from the studio, I remember a while back when we were reaching out to blogs and stuff for years ago. And one thing he always made sure to kind of help me with was to not be so shy when you're promoting yourself and like you're presenting that particular, and that's an example because it's easy. My song for your blog or your website. If you tell them, hey, I have this awesome song and it fits what you do, that's like a cool thing. Like we're helping each other out. I just have this cool song. You have a cool thing. And I think that's a better way of pushing yourself forward when speaking with people rather than like, oh my gosh, if you could please put me on, like, I would love it and it would mean so much to me. And like, you have such a cool thing. And I just would be really like, just make sure you come in with your value. I think a lot of people fail to do that, fail to recognize their own value.
What's the moment that you remember the most in the positive way throughout your whole music making occupation?
I think I don't know if there's like a moment specifically. Trying to think.
Something very positive, which was like, yeah.
Yeah, there's just like there's a couple, but I thought it was really cool. I do some writing for other bands as well. And so the first time someone was interested in working with me, it was very validating because I wasn't putting my value forward. I didn't feel always great about it when I was doing it. So like that was cool when the publishers, reach out and they're like, hey, you're doing something really cool. We'd love to work with you. That's always like a good thing. But one of the things I always tie back a lot of what I learned and a lot of the fun with music was when I was with my friends in LA, I think it was Tuesday nights. Every Tuesday night we had to come with a song ready. And it was just for your circle of friends. It was a producers group, songwriter group, and you just had to have a song ready Tuesday night to show everyone. And we gave each other feedback. We called it Skyscrapers. And that's where very quickly I learned a lot. And you have to be no ego. You can't be embarrassed or afraid to take good criticism because you're all there because you want to support each other and you want each other to be better, and you respect what they do, and they're going to give you feedback and you're going to give them feedback. So we came in every Tuesday with a song. We split some time, maybe 2 or 3 hours on Tuesday nights. We came in, we listened, and then we were like, yo, that snare sucks, dude. Like, it was so much fun. And it was just like honest critique from your really good friends. But we did that for every week for many months, and it grew starting from 3 people to 4. And then at one point there wasn't like, man, one day word got out and there was like 16 people who wanted to share songs. That was just like something that it's left an impression. I am eternally grateful for that crew and those people, and it definitely shaped a lot of who I am as a musician. And it taught me how to finish things, because if you didn't have the song finished, you had to buy dinner.
Oh, wow. That's funny. I mean, that's the best motivation, because if you buy dinners to everyone.
You're like,
Oh,
I really don't want to buy 6 people dinner, so I'm going to finish the song.
Wow, that's fun.
Yeah. And so a lot of the songs that I have over the years, that was a couple of years ago, but a lot of the songs that I put out after, you thought it was finished when you brought it in. And then they said, like, oh, this is cool, try tweaking this. And you go back, make those tweaks, you kind of get the song better. And then the product you have after that was just always better than what you started with. So it's a lot of fun.
So as usually, coming to the end of the interview, my question, who do you want to amplify?
Yeah. There's 2 of my friends. I would love to see them on Amplify talking about their project, about themselves. I feel like they don't give themselves enough credit. And I've just been such a fan waiting for them to release, because they haven't been releasing music yet. They've just been creating it, and they're getting the album ready. So I'm definitely gonna connect you with those 2 guys in what their group is called is the Waiters. My friends Will and Garrett are such immensely talented musicians, and I just want to see them share it with the world. So
thank you. I will definitely contact.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, if they want to follow you, if they want to check out your music, if they want to see you performing, where can they find you? What's the best platform?
Yeah, I'm trying to stay very active now on TikTok. So at I am Hunter Reece. And then on Instagram, same tag, I am Hunter Reece. that's usually the best place to maybe talk and like chat or get in touch, DM or comments. I actually try very hard to uh, see all of them and respond and just make sure to connect with people because I enjoy it. Like it's so much fun for me to share, put something out, and then to see how that affects people. So I try very hard to stay in touch with people. My website is also iamhunterreece.com, and then anywhere, Spotify, Apple Music, it's just going to be my name, Hunter Reece. So please, man, come say hi, hang out, let me know what
Yeah.
you think. And yeah, we just have a good time. We're just making some music and having fun.
And looking forward to hear your next mystery release in June. I mean, which
Yes.
song is it going to be? Are you planning to say the name of the song before, or are you just gonna drop it like and say this it is?
I'm undecided. I'm kind of making this up as I go, and I don't really have the plans yet. But I think maybe I'll keep advertising. I think now that you're getting me to think about it, I might advertise all 3 songs all the way until the release date and just let people get excited hoping it's one of them, and then the next day it'll be only one of those as a full release.
Yeah, that's an interesting method of of
And then
advertisement. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of fun. And then I guess I still want to put those other songs out after, so I still am happy to share it with people and get a little excitement out. But yeah, it's been fun. I posted I think it was a couple days ago, like which would you prefer, A, B, or C? And so I was just keeping a little tally, making a little chart. All right, so and so said this one, they like this one, they like that one.
Thanks a lot, Hunter, for your involvement and playing the game, which is called Amplify. Can't wait to hear your new song and hear you on Instagram. Bye bye.
And thank you so much for having me. And let's definitely stay in touch. So we'll talk soon.
I'm just here to say once again, thank you very much for streaming the episode. Thank you for supporting Amplify. Please do check out those links in the description, give some love to Hunter Reece, and as usual, after every episode I try to promote an independent artist. And today's soundtrack is a song called Fade Away by Brussels-based musician Ed.
Fade away, won't you fade away from my memory, won't you fade away, won't you fade away. 4 years that I've been running, looking for something that I've been missing. So long that I've been trying to get my mind off what we used to be. Now, where do I go? How do I make it look like I've been cured? Does anybody knows how to get this off my chest? So I party some more, easing my pain with some drugs, laughing at all the jokes, getting out of here, hoping that you fade away, won't you fade away from my memory, won't you fade away, won't you fade away. I thought it would be forever. You were my treasure. All of our sins will be forgiven to stay together. But I think that we both know why our love couldn't last. I was trying to be another well girl. I tried to break through all the lies, but you fell for another, and that she won't fade away, won't you fade away from my memory, won't you fade away, won't you fade away. Can you please just fade away, won't you fade away from my memory, won't you fade away. won't you fade away, fade away? Won't you fade away from my memory? Won't you fade away, fade away?